When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind to Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting. The A-Team that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind to Raw for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind to Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rewind to Raw. I'm John Pollock, and I'm joined tonight by gentleman by the name of Wai Ting, who is here with us. Hello, Wai.
Hey, John, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing strong. I'm doing solid.
Okay.
I feel like I've conquered the world. That's how I feel, Wai.
Conquered the world? Why? What happened? What'd you do?
So over the weekend, I came very close to my streak snapping.
What streak is that?
This entire pandemic, okay? All of 2020 and all of 2021 so far. You know how many times I've gotten sick, Wai?
Zero.
I haven't gotten sick once during this whole thing. It's been the silver lining of this whole thing. But over the last few weeks, I have evaded. I have tried very hard. Multiple people in my household, actually everyone but me, has gotten sick. But I've avoided it, Wai. I've just been able to outsmart the influenza that is out there. But then Saturday night, I was starting to feel it on Saturday. And then it was a very, very late night / early morning with UFC going on. And Sunday, I woke up and I did not feel great. It was a rough day. As I actually conveyed to you, because you actually wanted to record something Sunday night, and there was no chance. I tapped out, and I said to myself, you know what? I need to beat this thing. So I went to bed relatively early. Woke up today, Wai. I think I beat it. I think I'm out of the woods. It's a little, you can hear my voice is a little, still a little hoarse, but I think I'm out of the woods, so to speak.
Well, that's good. That's a good feeling. Absolutely. Now I understand what you mean.
I don't want to jinx it. I feel like already talking about it. Typically, when I get sick, it's like I just go through the whole cycle. It starts in the throat. It goes up to the nose, then the head, and then it ends with like a cough for a week. But I think I'm through in record time.
Oh, that's good. Maybe you built up antibodies somehow. Your body's just so strengthened right now that, colds just pass right through you.
Dude, sickness, don't F with me, okay? I've built up.
Now we're really jinxing it.
Come at me. Is this the best you've got?
Yeah. Hopefully you're fine, because we definitely can't afford you to go down, John. So I hope you get.
Wait, it's my biggest concern. Okay, illness to me is it's everything falls apart in my mind. Getting sick. It's an inconvenience.
No, whatever, it happens. We'll make do, but hopefully for your sake, and your family's sake. Is everybody feeling okay?
Everyone is through it. Evie has got this cold, and it's when you're under the age of 1, very hard to kick a cold. So it's been like 2 weeks.
Oh man, I'll bet. Yeah.
But that's where we are. How about you? Tell me about your weekend. I always ask you about your weekend, but I'm usually just racing to get to everything else. It's kind of an insincere question, but I truly mean, how was your weekend?
I thought the weekend was good. I think I tried to, just stay off of the computer for most of Saturday. Went and had brief lunch with my family, and then went to Pacific Mall for the first time in like 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Like. Yeah. What else did I do?
Did you buy some DVDs?
No, I did not. No, I don't even have a DVD player. So no DVDs.
That was a Christmas present once that Wai got for me. He got me a whole gamut of DVDs from Pacific Mall with their unique artwork and alteration to the titles. You gave me like 8 movies or something.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's sort of the joke gift I used to give people, like bootleg DVDs. And then God, what the hell did I do Sunday? I don't remember. It's already been a day. I don't remember a thing.
Oh,
actually,
okay. You know what I
don't remember.
You know what I checked out on Sunday night against my better judgment? I was adamant about not doing it, but when it came crunch time, I said I gotta check it out. Dexter, New Blood.
Oh, okay. And
It's back. I mean, I watched the first episode. It's I used to be like most people. I think if you got into Dexter, the early seasons were phenomenal, and then it just went off a cliff with one of the all-time horrendous finales that they could have done. But it's been 8 years. I watched it. I'll probably check out episode 2, but I'm not committing for the whole 10 episode run. But first episode, like I give it a moderate pass, but not an overwhelming one.
okay, interesting.
You were not a Dexter viewer, I'm guessing, based on
no, not at all.
Lack of interest in this topic.
I'm interested, but not. I'm interested just for your sake. No, I didn't even know it was back.
It is back, and he's older. He's living in the woods in a small town. His girlfriend is the sheriff in town, and he works at a shop where he distributes firearms to patrons. Sells guns, knives, other hunting equipment, and he is trying to suppress the urge to kill. Spoiler. Well, he kills somebody.
Well,
or comes close. I actually have not finished the final 5 minutes of the episode, so I cannot say actually with certainty that the man died, but it's trending that way.
I mean, how many shows are you actively following?
Oh, very few. I'm watching. Well, I'm not going to consider Dexter. It was like a really spur of the moment watch, and I got to be very strategic with shows because it's not just. I don't just watch out of. It's a commitment. If I'm sitting down, I got to get through whatever this season is. So I'm watching Succession. I'm watching Kim's Convenience, and that's it. That's about it. Maybe Dexter will make it onto the rotation.
Okay. Well, keep us updated.
Did you watch Succession yet?
No. I mean, I typically have to watch them after.
Oh.
I don't really get to them until later on in the week. So, is it good?
A little slow going, but strong ending. There was some very good scenes involving. I don't want to. Everyone always gets on me when I talk about, oh, you ruined it. They had opening credits this week. I wanted to be surprised. So I don't know what I can say and what I can't say. So I just
tell us what, I mean, just tell me whether or not you enjoyed it. That's all.
By the end, it was a nice kind of twist at the end for sure. And there's some very good acting.
Okay.
One scene in particular where less is more was really defined in this one scene. Some great emoting, I will say. Did you know Kieran Culkin hosted SNL on Saturday?
I watched a bit of it, yeah.
It was hilarious that they pulled that clip from when he was on with Macaulay Culkin 30 years ago. It's a great clip. Kevin Nealon looking like, who the hell is this kid?
Yeah.
Just lifting him up. Like, it's great. Kevin Nealon was the star of that moment.
I have no energy today, dude. I'm sorry, man.
I'm sorry.
I'm just waiting for this Raw review to start.
This was an amazing episode of Raw that we're going to get into. I was just kind of,
I appreciate the small talk as always, but I'm just not feeling it today. Being honest, everybody.
Shut up, John. Let's get going. It's fine. I'm like this 90% of the time. I just hide it well. Coming up this week on the site, we have a lot coming at you. He's going to have to find some energy, folks, because he is reviewing the Eternals tomorrow, and we will find out if his low energy is eternal or not. But he will be joined by W.H. Park for a much-needed MCU later. Is this MCU later? Is this a spinoff?
Yes, it is.
It's MCU later. That's what I thought.
It is.
So spoiler, you guys have watched the movie, and the review is coming out Tuesday for all Cafe members. I look forward to listening to this because cards on the table, I'm probably not going to get out to see this movie. So I'm going to listen to your review, and that's going to dictate my enjoyment of the film. So a lot of pressure on you two.
Well, this is going to be an interesting review because I recorded it kind of with you in mind, thinking, how long is John Pollock possibly going to last through a discussion about Celestials and just all this fucking crazy shit that is unlike really any other MCU movie. It gets very nerdy. So I don't know, quite frankly, if you'll make it through.
It's the enjoyment of you and WH. It's like okay, you want to keep up with us? And then it's just, we're going to go into deeper and deeper water. And then suddenly we're talking about, oh man, did you see the glimmer in his eye? That's clearly a sign that like the orcas, it's the orcas that are coming from the fifth dimension. And you know about the fifth dimension, right, Way? And at that point, I'm like, oh man, I'm back in the third dimension.
Well, I please, if you try, I'd love to know your thoughts, of course. But yeah, I actually, spoiler alert, recorded it already with W Witch this afternoon, and we will detail our experience. And I really enjoyed talking to him in particular. It's a very divisive movie, so we'll get all into maybe the controversy of this being the worst Rotten Tomatoes scoring MCU movie to date, as well as just a lot of the ins and outs about our particular thoughts about the comic book accuracy of the film. So if you check out the movie, listen to it if you're on the Post Wrestling Cafe.
Oh, I love it. I love that there's a controversy attached to this particular film. Tuesday night, Braden and Davey are live with Up Next, twitch.tv/upnextpodcast. Have you been watching these ads for NXT? Like tonight, if you were not a viewer of NXT 2.0, you would assume like this is a reality show about toxic attraction. That's what Tuesday nights are. It's just tune in for toxic attraction. That's the pitch.
Yeah, I skimmed through it and it was really just a shot of Mandy Rose walking out. So that seems to be their big selling point.
That's it. Like not anything about matches or even what Toxic Attraction are doing. It's just tune in for Mandy Rose and her friends. On Wednesday, Way and I are live with Rewind to Dynamite. Thursday, Martin Bushby, Benno, and Andy Ogden reunite for the British Wrestling Experience. You can also check out Martin's interview with Andy Colden that has gotten a lot of praise in many circles of the wrestling community. Friday night, Rewind to SmackDown. I'm back on Friday night. Cannot wait to chat with Way about SmackDown and Rampage. And then the weekend hits, Way. A quiet weekend we've got. The NWA podcast dropping Saturday morning. Nate Milton, Chris from LA, and Andrew Thompson chatting all the latest. And then Saturday night, it is our Full Gear post show.
Full Gear, yeah. Full Saturday Gear. Night. It's a big one. Do you feel it?
Big show.
What's the hype level for you?
I think pretty. I have never been more interested in a countdown show. Okay? I think they have the ability to knock this one out of the park between Omega and Page and just give us like 10 minutes of sit down back and forth with Kingston and CM Punk and we're good. Yeah. Like you don't even have to focus on the whole card, just the top matches.
Yeah, they have a lot to cover, really.
And Miro and Danielson, like, please put Miro in a confessional and he is speaking to God right before he goes to war. I will I am about to commit a sin, Father.
And what
forgive me, for I will sin. This would be great.
And what setting will Bryan Danielson be in?
Whole Foods, and he's saying that I am out to end a meat eater named Miro. Wow. A man who knows nothing about minimalism. He rode around in a tank. He is disgusting.
Yeah, you know how much gas those things use?
Oh my God. He just like took aim at the ozone layer and shot holes through it. That was Miro. And then Sunday, WrestleNomics Radio, the Sunday night staple, now at postwrestling.com with Brandon and Chris. A great debut episode here on the network going through the Q3 earnings and lots of great discussion. Breakdown of Nick Khan. It's always great. You get to hear the clips and then they translate. It's like, this is what Nick Khan's talking about here.
It really is the perfect week for WrestleNomics to debut on our network because I can't think of a better, more appropriate week of topics for them to have to cover, besides the Q3 earnings and then Christina Salen, the CFO, being out, leaving the company, and of course all the unfortunate talent and releases. But Brandon and Chris do a great job of not just talking about those particular topics, but giving us a bit of WrestleNomics 101, telling us why, if you aren't really interested in all this stuff yet, why we should be interested, why ratings are important, and they are going to be our go-to every single week now for topics like that.
WrestleNomics Radio, the scoreboard of professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. All of the schedule can be seen at postwrestling.com. Check that out. And Way and I are doing daily news updates.
Oh, we are. Yes.
Remember?
I forgot. Yeah. Every day, every single day, we'll be at the Post Wrestling Cafe at youtube.com/postwrestling, talking about the news of the day, of the past 24 hours.
Yes. Audio version can be is there for Post Wrestling Cafe members only. So you can check it out either in video form or audio after 1 week. The good, the bad, give me your assessment quickly. How did it work out for you?
I mean, it's mostly good, especially for the audience. Everybody,
for you, don't worry about the audience, okay? We want to know about you.
It's double the effort, I suppose, and it's not really so much the recording of it. It's more so the processing and the tweeting and all this and posting and all this other stuff, which I'm hoping to streamline and do a bit faster. Ultimately, I'm hoping to do these live. It's just having to find the time to set everything up, which gets more and more difficult with all the shows that we have to cover. So I can see this working out. It just it just takes time to kind of finesse.
We're gonna find the balance way. That's what we're seeking. Okay, post wrestling is about balance. That's our buzzword. Okay,
cool. I like it.
All of the news will be covered on a Tuesday show, so we'll get into the SmackDown and Rampage numbers and quite a bit that was going on throughout the day. We did cover most of it earlier today in the news update. A lot of New Japan news, including our thoughts on Power Struggle, the passing of Angelo Mosca, plenty to check out there. YouTube.com/postwrestling. And I'll just state before we get into the Raw review, our condolences to the Bagwell family, is Judy Bagwell, who people will remember from her stints in WCW, the mother of Marcus Alexander Buff Bagwell, passing away on Friday at the age of 78. So our condolences to her. Certainly a figure in WCW that found herself in many interesting scenarios as brief WCW Tag Team Champion, on a forklift at the New Blood Rising pay-per-view.
Famously, yeah. Our condolences. I mean, it's I imagine one of the hardest things a human being can go through. So our condolences to the Bagwells.
Yeah, very, very difficult time. It had been mentioned that she had been suffering from dementia, and that's just that's extremely rough for anybody to go through. Not just the individual involved, but family around you as well. So anyway, our condolences to the Bagwell family, and again, all of the latest news will be covered on Tuesday. But tonight's episode of Raw taking place from the KFC Yum ! Center in Louisville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where were we? The Dunkin' Donuts Center last week, and now we're at the KFC Yum Center.
When was the last time you've been to a KFC?
Oh, Jesus. 15 years, 20 years.
Was it the place you got sick at?
I got food poisoning twice at the KFC at the same location at the same mall when I was young. And I learned my lesson. I was like, okay, no more KFC. I don't want to get sick again.
You swore off KFC?
I've been battling sickness my entire life. It's how do I outsmart the system? Stay away from KFC is number one.
Or maybe just KFC at that mall.
I mean, this is a brand KFC that for their marketing, they don't want to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken. They don't even want to identify with what they are. It's like the sports entertainment.
That was always the rumor. Like, oh, they're not calling themselves Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore. What could they possibly be using instead of chicken? And I think it's still chicken. Pretty sure it's still chicken.
I would love if they had an alternate word for chicken. Meat supplement.
Chicken.
Dinner course. I don't know. I don't know what else you can
That's the thing with chicken. Ice cream, isn't it? Like when you buy ice cream, I mean, if you buy the cheaper ones, they call it frozen dessert because it's not made with real cream.
Well, they're sticklers for details.
Or legalities, yeah.
Well, this is the arena. I don't think it was ever once identified on this broadcast where they were inside of.
Yeah,
the KFC Yum Center is going wild for Kevin Owens. That was never said by Jimmy Smith.
When will Madison Square Garden change its name to something ridiculous like this? When will some major company like I don't know, like
the Taco Bell Garden?
Yeah, that's Yum actually. Same company.
Oh, is it? No, I can't
believe
keep
it is.
track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the Blue Chew Square Guard, the Manscaped. I'm just thinking about podcasting, advertising companies. The Fleshlight Garden. Like when are they going to like? Where do we draw the line? You know,
standing ovation for the Blue Chew audience.
Yeah.
Let's move.
Okay.
On. Big E and Kevin Owens are hanging out in the back, just chilling, and Big E is rubbing cocoa butter on himself while Kevin Owens is pleading his case that he did not realize that Rollins had struck him last week. And Big E ends this conversation by saying, "I don't care," and walks off. And this was the trial of Kevin Owens tonight, as he was pleading his case to a lot of people that totally didn't care.
Or didn't believe him.
Yeah, they have their own problems to deal with. That was kind of the feeling of it here. But Kevin Owens was the central figure of Monday's Raw.
He absolutely was. Yep. Started the show and certainly ended the show as the talk of the show. And I thought this was a nice little way to set it up in a brief setting. It feels kind of unusual for them to basically start the show off with this little backstage interaction, just, a few minutes. And I thought it was quite effective because these two are, I think by wrestling standards, pretty strong actors.
Seth Rollins comes out in this hideous outfit. He basically is like when you would have your creator wrestler and it's Seth Rollins coming out, but you've assigned him like Sami Zayn's entrance. So you're watching another guy do someone else's entrance. That's kind of what he's morphed into now. He just looks ridiculous coming out. And that is kind of the character. He's your top heel that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty much, I think, the one-line definition of his current character. And it doesn't stay as one iteration either. He seems to constantly just be evolving the ridiculousness of it.
He says that him and Owens came up together, and one thing that you can count on is that Owens will stab you in the back any chance he gets. Ask Sami Zayn, Kofi Kingston, The New Day. He calls Owens a paramecium and an amoeba.
The lowest life form, the most simplest life form. I mean, it's
one's a rating you assign to show.
It is, yes.
He's a snake,
same wavelength.
A coward. He's gutless, and he's a lahoozer, channeling his best Dumb and Dumber impression.
Yeah.
Dreadful. Owens charges the ring, and Rollins escapes and runs through the crowd, and they will be in the main event later on in the show. So you got to wait 3 hours for this match. RK Bro is in the back, and Riddle says they're going to be a super team like the Eternals or Voltron.
Yep. 2 teams.
Orton is upset with Riddle from last week when he got mauled by Omos. I don't know why Orton would be upset about this. It's like, you were fine. Who cares about Riddle? I guess he does have a bit of a care for this tag partner of his. And Orton says, I don't care about the Street Profits, who they're teaming with. And it turns out Ford and Dawkins are standing right behind him. So Orton turns around and says, yeah, I don't care about any of you. And you're all on your own if you have a vendetta against Omos. So we started off with an 8-man tag that took up a lot of time in the first hour. We basically got a long match in the first hour, a long match in the second hour with the 6-way, and then a really long match at the end of the show. And that was Raw, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. Again, it's not a show you watch, I think, it is. Like, I thought you had some pretty good wrestling here, but it's not going to be throughout the entire 3 hours for sure.
So it was Orton, Riddle, a.k.a. Voltron, and the Street Profits against AJ Styles, making his first appearance since Crown Jewel after he had been gone, Omos, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode. And this was almost like two tag matches, but put together in an 8-man tag. So what we did for the first half of the match was get the heat on Riddle forever. He was just beaten down in the heel's corner, and eventually he made the hot tag to Randy Orton. He came in, he had his his big sequence with Dolph Ziggler, like power slam, draping DDT, and then they end up getting the heat on Montez Ford after Omos returns, and we get the second half of the match, which is the heat on Ford and build up to his hot tag to Dawkins. And that is how we arrived at a match that went over 22 minutes. It culminated with Dawkins receiving that hot tag, and Riddle comes in. They all take turns against Omos, and everyone but Orton gets laid out, including Riddle with the tree slam. And everyone's chanting for Randy to stand up to Omos. And just as Orton is about to enter the ring, the Dirty Dogs pull a dirty move by pulling Randy Orton down to the floor. And Ziggler steals the tag as Omos is going to tag AJ, and we've got the heels all arguing with one another. Omos gets pissed, throws Roode into the barricade, and Ziggler finally covers Riddle, who has been selling this tree slam for about an hour, and pins him at 22:05, and then Orton RKO's Ziggler after the match.
I thought it was definitely very ridiculous that Orton, after all of this arguing on the outside, Riddle, still manages to just accept this pinfall 1, 2, 3.
It was really long. Like, it was like 2 minutes of laying there as the heels all argued. It was, it was exceptionally long.
I thought it made him look pretty weak. But, the story is he is helpless against Omos. And I suppose a tree slam from Omos is that devastating. God,
listen, for all we can say about Omos, my God, do they protect this guy? He came in and then they go to break. We come back, he lands a boot and then he tags right out. They are extremely careful with him, but the audience is into this Omos Randy tease. It was like one of the few things like they really did get into here.
Yeah, that's true. I think they're doing a good job overall with him. I'm not exactly sure, the idea behind this Randy Orton character. I don't know if they're trying to make him look suspicious for not helping Matt Riddle, or if it's because he are supposed to actually believe that he's getting stopped legitimately at the last minute all the time, or if he's scared, of Omos. I don't know. What do you think?
They're not going to make Orton scared in this story at the end of it. I think they're just trying to hold this off and really make people want this. And I think you can get away with it. It's very hard to do a singles match with these two, but you have to do it at this point. And I guess they are going to wait until they have the confidence in Omos to do it. The question also becomes when you do this. It's not as though you have a big event to hold this off until. Are they going to go until that January pay-per-view, or is this eventually just going to get paid off on Raw?
January would be all right.
I guess so. They've held off Omos from a singles match this long. They could wait another month and a half. But anyway, it was a lengthy match, over 22 minutes to take up most of this opening hour. Backstage, Ray and Dominic are getting ready to come out when Kevin Owens walks up to them, and he values Ray's opinion, and he needs to know that Ray believes him. And Ray says, "Man, my head's spinning. I got a lot going on." And before he is forced to give an answer, his music plays, and he's got to leave with Dominic, as Corey Graves says that, like Michael Myers, Kevin Owens will have a hard time rehabbing his image.
Okay. Do you agree? You're a Halloween fan?
Yeah, I don't know. Michael Myers.
Or does he mean the Canadian? Does he mean Austin Powers?
Yeah, after
his image is fine.
The image is fine. He's had his big hits. He's had the odd.
He had a terrible one, didn't he? Have like some what was it? Some genie thing?
Yeah, the hockey one. What was it called? It was dreadful.
The Love Guru.
Love Guru.
He needs to rehab himself after that.
You know what? He's doing fine. There was a promo for Veer Mahan, who is still on his way to Raw, and Dominic and Ray come out for an odd segment. So Adam Pearce is in the ring and was getting boos stemming from the Lesnar angle. And Pearce goes over the history of the Survivor Series that includes the debuts of The Undertaker, The Shield, and The Rock. And the traditional elimination matches have propelled Roman Reigns and Randy Orton into superstardom. He says that over the weekend, when naming the members of Team Raw, he made a mistake because every member of the men's team is a former world champion, except for Dominic. And that's a big issue for Adam Pearce because he wants to sweep SmackDown just like they did last year, 5-0. So he tells Dominic, you're still on Team Raw unless you lose tonight to Bobby Lashley, who comes out. Now, my number one question is, if Adam Pearce assembled Team Raw, who assembled Team SmackDown?
Sonya.
Why was Sonya at Raw tonight with the women's
you're right.
team?
No, maybe. I mean, he assembled them both.
This guy has been overseeing both shows forever.
True.
And all of a sudden, he is now rooting for Team Raw to win?
That's a great question. Yeah. On SmackDown, he will cheer for SmackDown, but on Raw, he's cheering for Raw.
This was just unforgivable storytelling.
Yeah.
Give me any kind of reason for this. So Dominic is thrown to the wolves against Bobby Lashley. Dominic just got murdered in this match. It was Lashley's return, he's been off since the Goldberg match, and he applies the Hurt Lock, but he won't let Dominic tap out. So he continues to just throw him around. Dominic tries to get some offense. He's caught. He gets lifted on the shoulders, and Ray pulls Dominic off of Lashley's shoulders. So Lashley drops Ray and then drives Dominic into the post, spears Dominic, Hurt Lock, and Dominic taps in 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Now, the worst thing about all of this was there was, like, your audience, the goal for this to me would be your audience has sympathy for Dominic, that you feel he's been wronged. And really, at the end of this, it's like, if you're assembling a team, yeah, I want the best guy on my team. He went out, he destroyed this guy. It's not like he stole the spot from him. And he won. And this babyface just looked completely incompetent by the end of it. Like, completely inferior, I should say, instead of incompetent.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, it kills Dominic for sure.
I thought this like really did a number for like wherever you want to slot Dominic, like obviously is not a top end babyface, but this just so painted him as a nothing.
Well, I don't think he's supposed to be anything in this feud. I mean, it looks like they're trying to build up towards Ray versus Bobby Lashley coming off of this. And as such, he needed to beat up his son. I think you're supposed to feel bad for Dominic because, you know, Lashley could have finished him in 2 minutes if he wanted to, but he decided to let go of that Hurt Lock to punish him a bit more and was basically punishing him, you know, a lot more than he needed to. So that's that.
That was that. And they asked, can Bobby Lashley and Rey Mysterio coexist on the same team?
Probably not.
They will implode.
Probably going to fight.
Alpha Academy was with Seth Rollins, and they're asked about the Owens situation. Gable points out that he's got a master's degree, and therefore can categorically confirm that Kevin Owens is a liar, just like Aaron Rodgers. And Seth, the heel, says, oh, Aaron Rodgers, I hate that guy. Are you following everything with Aaron Rodgers?
No, not really. Tell me what's going on.
Well, Aaron Rodgers decided he was not going to get vaccinated.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And got his medical advice from Joe Rogan. I just found it odd that your heel is like saying, oh, Aaron Rodgers, I hate that guy.
Oh, depends who you ask.
I guess so. Big E versus Chad Gable, a non-title match. They had a 5-minute match here where Graves states that Reigns is waiting in the wings for Big E at Survivor Series, and they officially confirmed that match would take place, as will Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch. So making those title matches confirmed. So we have 4 matches for Brooklyn. Gable hits a dragon screw out of the corner and then a moonsault from the top where it looked like he just dropped his knees onto Big E and then hit this amazing looking chaos theory, bridging for a 2 count. E comes back, Uranagi out of the corner, and big ending for the win in 4:56.
Good match. Glad they're giving Gable so much in ring lately. Even though he's only really meant to be a precursor to Otis, but I thought it was nice that they gave him substantial time to impress here.
Yeah, so after the match, he does a face-off with Otis, so obviously they're going there. We have gone now where we have so many matches built up for Big E. We've got Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins with the contract, Kevin Owens, and Otis. Like he's got like 2 months of programs here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean a lot of TV.
Yeah, you gotta fill all this time. Owens is speaking to someone off camera who he calls a locker room leader, and it's R-Truth, and hoping to make his case to him. R-Truth says that he believes in Kevin Owens, he believes in Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, monsters under the bed, the leprechaun in the hood. He believes that Earth is flat, but is also round in some parts. And Owens walks away.
Yeah, haha, R-Truth.
Hilarious. Pearson DeVille are in the women's locker room. So we have one side of the locker room with Team Raw. And then on the other side, we have Doudrop, Dana Brooke, and Nikki Ash, who were not chosen for the team game. And the winner of tonight's Fatal 5-Way will get a shot at Becky Lynch. Doudrop and Brooke make their cases, why they should be in the match. Brooke says she's paid her dues and deserves respect. Nikki says, I've been a women's champion, for Christ's sake. And Rhea stands up for Nikki as Zelina and Carmella make fun of her.
Yeah. This is our 3rd week of the Zelina Vega accent. And at this point, it's obviously not accurate, nor meant to be. Nor is it funny at all in a sort of exaggerated sense, the way you might have had with like a King Booker. It just kind of exists in that place where you're not even entirely sure at times if she's even trying to do the accent. You're certainly not sure if she's trying to do it to be accurate or if she's trying to do it to be funny. So I don't know how much of a reaction.
Yeah, the consensus is it's awful, and the debate is intentionally awful or a byproduct is resulting in it being awful. But it is awful.
Yeah, or just apathy, it's just kind of there. This queen gimmick is clearly the type of queen gimmick that has been given to her. Whereas you see Xavier Woods, that's clearly somebody who wants this gimmick. He's passionate about it. He's shooting his own commercials his own videos as part of it on Twitter. Like he's enthusiastic about the king gimmick. Zelina, it's just something that was handed down to her.
And what's frustrating is that we've seen Zelina, especially last year with Andrade and Angel Garza, like she's a very good talker. And this like really takes all of that away when it just feels like such a struggle with this accent. And I'm not a fan of it at all. Dominic is getting checked on in the trainer's room. He's got a neck strain, and Ray is pissed. He is so pissed. He can barely get all of his words out here. He said that they should be questioning Adam Pearce's integrity. And he had to talk about how they added Lashley, and it comes out so fast. He's like, if they wanted to add Lashley, he should have just added Lashley and that. And what he was trying to say was that if you wanted to replace Dominic, you should have just replaced him. You shouldn't have gone through this massacre of my son who is in way over his head. And then throughout all of this, Austin Theory comes in and takes a selfie without the two realizing it. So not a great night for the Mysterios.
Right. Yeah. So there you go.
Reggie and Drake Maverick for the 24/7 title. This was just an excuse to have a bunch of title changes. So Maverick won the title with a roll-up. You guessed it. Tozawa then beat Maverick. Benjamin and Alexander are out. Corey Graves pins Tozawa for the title. Byron wins the title. Then Drake Maverick wins the title back. And then Reggie hits a twisting crossbody, and the whole segment resets with the original champion.
Yeah, I feel like they haven't done one of these multi-switches in a bit of a while, but I thought it got an okay reaction here, I suppose. You know, it was a decent surprise to see Graves and Saxton jump in and get their WWE title reigns officially. So,
huge moment for them.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch came out and joined commentary for the next match. And throughout the night, they were doing a big push for WrestleMania tickets going on sale this week for the 2 nights at AT&T Stadium, and showing shots of The Undertaker at the Cowboys game on Sunday, including meeting George W. Bush.
All right.
Belair and Doudrop meet backstage, and Doudrop points out that Belair has lost multiple title matches, and she says, "I speak for everyone," and Belair cuts her off and says, "No, you speak for yourself." And she made her entrance. So our Fatal 5-Way featured Bianca Belair, Carmella, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Queen Zelina. We had several promos, including a Zelina one with her bad accent. And the winner of this match will get the shot against Becky Lynch at a date to be determined. So they all brawl on the floor before the match begins. We go to commercial. We come back, and for some reason, Rhea's music is playing. And even Rhea looked around, what's going on? Why is my music playing after we had all made our entrances and did a whole brawl spot through the commercial? But the match begins. Zelina and Carmella are arguing with one another over who is going to get the pin. Becky was I thought, very good on commentary here. She is very fast on her feet. She said that this match features 4 history makers and Liv Morgan. She noted Belair winning the Rumble, Carmella winning the first women's Money in the Bank ladder match, Ripley being an NXT women's champion, and then Queen Zelina winning the Queen's Crown tournament, and then Liv Morgan, who's done nothing, according to Becky. And then Becky starts saying how the fans have changed their opinion of her, but I'm still Becky from the block. And she starts trying to quote J-Lo, but unfortunately she got J-Lost here. Liv hit the double knees onto Belair, and then Carmella swung around for this really badly timed spinning facebuster. They just had their signals crossed. Zelina hit an excellent looking tornado DDT onto Ripley for a 2 count, and they were left together for a few moments. Belair then military pressed Zelina to the floor onto the other women. We come back from break, and it pretty much comes down to Ripley in the ring with Liv, and they're going. Ripley's going for the Riptide. Sorry, this is Belair and Ripley, and then Liv comes in to break up the Riptide cover. Liv then counters a Riptide and hits her move, the Oblivion. Zelina runs in, and as Zelina sets up for the Code Red, Belair lifts her up and goes for the KOD when Doudrop pulls Bianca out of the ring, sends her into the post. Carmella tries to steal the cover, but it is Liv Morgan using a crucifix to pin Carmella, getting the win, and Liv Morgan will try and become a history maker, challenging Becky Lynch.
Mm-hmm. I thought the most of the match was pulled off quite well. I think, the purpose of this match was to put enough spotlight on Morgan to present her as a viable challenger in one episode. And they did that by having her shine throughout the match and also having Becky continue to focus on her and driving her up as sort of a main antagonist for her. So I thought they did a good job there. And then at the same time, they had the task of protecting Belair enough to make sure that the audience still sees her as the ultimate destination for Becky. So all in all, I thought it was an entertaining, fast-moving match that accomplished its goals.
Yeah, it was. I think with Bianca Belair, I think they have to be very careful with her and kind of these 2 championship losses, almost on back-to-back weeks. I just don't want to see her. I think Doudrop, it's a good program to kind of get her away from the title picture after you did these title matches immediately, one with Charlotte, one with Becky, and you've done, you were even bringing up here, all the times that she has lost to Becky. So I think Doudrop is a good distraction, and you've got the Survivor Series, which you can really make her shine. But I do think they kind of have to take a break from that program before you go back to it, because I think when you go back to it, she's got to come out on top.
Yeah, it seems to be the direction. I don't see any other reason to turn Dewdrop.
Rollins met up with Big E, and Rollins says, "You can't believe what Kevin Owens says." He says, "Yeah, I did hit you last week, but it's better to trust the devil you know than the devil you don't know." Big E doesn't trust either one, but he will be out ringside tonight. Austin Theory comes out. He takes selfies with the announcers, but then Big E, who is already ringside, swats away his phone. Rollins comes out and he says it was all a plan between me and Kevin Owens to make Big E realize he was not the face on Raw. I'm coming clean because I'm a man of integrity. And Owens comes out furious at these lies, or are they lies, and attacks Rollins. And then we go to commercial, and they did a big plug for the Survivor Series and the history of the event. And they decided to focus mostly on the Survivor Series from 1997, which, if you remember, was headlined by Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. And this was the selling feature for this year's Survivor Series 24 years later.
That was a pretty memorable one.
It was jarring to go from this whole championship controversy in 1997 to now. Like, just imagine this same predicament for like Big E going into Survivor Series.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody.
Could you imagine the championship being so hotly contested?
Who cares? Yeah, you want me to lose? Like, yeah, whatever. You have 2 championships. Who cares?
Reggie had reasonable creative control for his final 30 days, and he wouldn't drop the 24/7 title, even though they had 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to try and get the belt off him because he was going to go to the rival company.
Big E refuses to take his nameplate off of his championship.
So Rollins and Owens took up the final half hour of the show. This was like a 23-plus minute match. Early on, Owens hits him with a senton and cannonball on the floor, lands on the knees with the swanton. That takes us through our first commercial. Rollins is in control. Rollins misses with a splash from the top, so Owens hits his own splash, but he is selling his ribs, and he's selling them like in a big way. We go through another commercial break. Owens counters Rollins and hits a fisherman buster off the turnbuckle, and then gets caught with a pedigree.
Yeah.
Was this a turn?
Well,
send Rollins back? He's a heel. Does that like reverse his heelness?
I think it just cements it.
I'll tell you, this crowd had absolutely no reaction to this pedigree. So if Cody is judging things based off the KFC Yum Center reaction, he might be overstating things. So Owens kicks out of the pedigree. Rollins then gets knocked down on the turnbuckle. He slips under, carries Rollins across the ring for a buckle bomb, and as he goes for the stomp, Owens catches him with a pop-up powerbomb for a 2 count. The stunner gets stopped, and Rollins attacks the ribs further of Owens, and then Rollins, on the floor, leaps off the steps and gets sent into the chair that Big E had been sitting in, but Big E clearly had seen this spot mapped out because he was way gone by the time they crashed into the chair. And then, as they're trying to get back into the ring, Rollins climbs back in, but Owens is blocked by Big E, who doesn't realize he's blocking Owens, who gets counted out.
Yes, count out finish here in the main event of this show after 30 minutes. So pretty unsatisfying, I have to say.
Yeah.
Good match, though, otherwise.
They had a very nice match together. It was it ate up the final 30 minutes of the show. And the idea here was, Big E did not purposely block Owens, but Owens snapped after this count out loss to Seth Rollins. And he starts attacking Big E. He sends him into the steps, delivers an apron bomb. The officials are out. Owens comes back for more, and he is screaming. And like Dexter, he has tried to suppress his urge, and he snapped.
Yeah. But we don't know if it's because he, truly is evil, or if it's because of all of this misunderstanding. Last week, perhaps he was actually groggy and simply covered Big E not knowing what he was doing. This week, nobody believing him, and then ultimately ending with Big E unintentionally, or was it intentional on Big E's part, costing him a victory via countout. So I think the story is being well told. I thought, if this is to be considered quote unquote a turn for Owens, I thought it was well executed throughout this episode. Match outcome aside, it was a good match and they got to where they needed to. So I do think if you want to tell the story, probably a more satisfying way to do it, I have to think, with the finish to this match, but it worked in setting up the turn at the end and sets Kevin Owens on course for a Big E feud.
Yeah. I would say, I think you can summarize this Raw with I enjoyed the main event. I think it was the strongest thing on the show. You got an angle at the end with Owens. That stuff was good. The rest, it was like, it just seemed like it was lengthier matches than we necessarily needed. It did somewhat feel like filling time. The wrestling ranged on this show, but it largely came down to the Owens, Seth Rollins, Big E stuff as the key stuff that if you missed Raw, that was the central stuff.
Sure, I guess, yeah. Yep. The wrestling was fine. I don't watch the show for good wrestling though. I more so watch it for like significant story plot points, and you had that with Owens, I suppose. Dewdrop turned, although that was had far less fanfare. What is it? This Dominic thing they're setting up between Ray and Bobby Lashley. So that I thought that was done, decently well. And then what else? What else was significant on this? I mean, Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch, setting that up.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a very straightforward show. I mean, I can't say it was there was a whole lot coming out of this episode. I think your enjoyment will range based on your interest in several of these stories and where they're going. Primarily the main event picture that has at least some interesting turns that they're doing, and I think Owens, especially in a heel role, I think can enhance this show a lot if we're going to see more promo work from him and being more of a focused character on this show. That he's sort of just been in the background since that Roman Reigns program ended many, many months ago.
Yep. I mean, it's an elevation, but primarily though, you have your central figures that the show is revolving around in a Becky Lynch, in a Bianca Belair, in a Big E, maybe I guess even a Seth Rollins if you want to consider that. But then everybody else is just kind of there to play around those nuclei. And Big E and Kevin Owens happens to be one of them this week. So we'll see if it's a elevated, sustained elevation or if it's just one for this month. But still, it's an improvement for what he was doing before.
Do you see that? Because they've announced for this Friday for SmackDown, Roman Reigns against Woods. And they did the big angle with Kofi Kingston last week and the beatdown at the end of SmackDown. Like, obviously, I think we're going to get at least one crossover episode of talent and maybe more. But can you see this Friday kind of starting to get your stuff in motion for Roman Reigns and Big E? Because that is, I mean, you have 2 episodes left of, you have next week's Raw and the 2 SmackDowns, and then we're at Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm. I could see him throwing like a verbal jab, I feel like Big E appearing, maybe they'll have that be a surprise. Sure. They could, maybe they even should this far out. I think there's, that 6-man tag between the New Day versus the Bloodline is one that I would love to see. I don't know if they would actually do it. To me, it's kind of silly that they don't, because I don't know if you'd be in a
quite
perfect
honest
position.
way. Like I think there's a very good possibility of at Survivor Series, we don't want to necessarily beat either guy. And I wouldn't even advocate for the option of Reigns beating Big E right now. That I think the 6-man would have been the better way to go if you had a great angle to set it up. You started it on Friday. I think people would be more into that than Reigns and Big E. That how do we book our way around this when we don't really want to just establish one as the underneath champion to the superior one.
Yeah. I mean, that would get you out of that booking situation, but they also want to promote this champions versus champions gimmick at Survivor Series to make that feel like it's a big match. And it is a big match, Big E versus Roman. So you're just gonna have to take a bit of a disputed finish coming out of it probably. But I think for a TV match, you could Bloodline versus Usos would definitely be great. Now it gets to the point though where are they suddenly going to be sticklers for this brand versus brand thing, and keep the divisions apart because they don't want to go back on it by not having Big E jump? I don't know. Maybe not. But I am surprised that they haven't really been hitting it home as much, 2 weeks out. Maybe it's Friday, maybe it's Monday.
Maybe Adam Pearce can contact the head of SmackDown and they can negotiate a fair outcome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Forum.postwrestling.com. Man.
I probably shouldn't even put these up anymore. Like, what's the point? People aren't watching the show. If they're voting, they're probably, I don't even know if they're actually watching anyway. 2 people voted, everybody, in this poll, and the rating is 1. So I don't even think we take it seriously.
All right. Well, on that note, folks, there you go. That was your review of Raw.
We have one piece of feedback. Steve says, I did not particularly like the show. Why did they make Otis look like he has... Oh, I don't want to say that. Why does Rhea Ripley always look like she's just about to burst into a crying fit? This is just like if I was playing TEW and used the auto booker option to book the show. What was the whole beginning? I was half paying attention, but it seemed like the draft doesn't matter or something. Steve, if you're not paying attention, then I don't think you should be commenting, Steve.
Agreed. All right. That is it. We're going to wrap things up. Tuesday, we're back. We will have a new show out during the day. Check out the Eternals review with Wai Ting and WH Park. That will be out for Cafe members. And then Tuesday night, up next with Braden and Davey, as they will review Mandy Rose from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on the USA Network and Sportsnet 360 in Canada.
Yeah. Up next. Yeah, lots of stuff going on with them. They also do an AEW review called BD Elite. That's also out on Wednesday nights as well. And, of course, everything on their Patreon, including The Sesh.
The Sesh, where they will have the latest on Succession, the latest episode. Brandon from New Jersey breaking down the father-son dynamics of Logan and Kendall.
Yeah.
A memorable episode, to say the least. It was actually very good, to be quite honest. All right, that's it for us, everyone. We're tapped out. We're done. Another Raw in the books. I'm going to go rewatch it, as his way, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday.